The silent warning. The Arcturian fleet commander, Sorin, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeance, his scaled hands clasped behind his back. The stars outside glittered like distant promises of conquest, and the hum of the ship's engines was a familiar comfort. The Arcturians had ruled the Outer Rim for centuries, and nothing in the galaxy posed a threat to their dominance. Also, they believed. A faint signal had been intercepted, an automated distress beacon from a long-abandoned sector on the fringe of human space. It was puzzling, but the Arcturian High Council saw it as an opportunity. Humanity was a young race, bold and ambitious, but their reach had always been limited. Their ships were not the match of Arcturian war vessels, and their technology, while innovative, lacked the refinement of the ancient empires. But there was something about this signal that made Sorin uneasy. The humans had a reputation for unpredictability, for creating things that defied conventional understanding. The High Council had dismissed the rumors, the whispers of human ships that could do the impossible, but Sorin was not so certain. "Commander, we decoded the transmission," his communications officer, Nara, reported, her voice steady, but with a hint of something unspoken beneath it. Sorin turned, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "Play it." The bridge fell silent as the message crackled through the speakers, distorted by time and distance. A voice, calm yet carrying an edge of urgency, filled the room. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the Horizon's Edge. If you've received this message, you are entering restricted space. Human vessels are unique. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. For your own sake, turn back." The message ended abruptly, leaving an eerie stillness in its wake. Sorin frowned. "Is this some kind of human trick? They're trying to scare us off." "Unknown, sir," Nara replied, her gaze flickering to the other officers, who seemed equally unnerved. "But it's clear they didn't want anyone to find whatever is out there." Sorin's thoughts raced. Humans were known for their audacity, for their ability to create the unexpected. Could this be a trap, a lure to draw the Arcturian fleet into an ambush? Or was there something more, something the humans had discovered that even they feared? The commander's decision was swift. "Prepare the fleet. We proceed with caution. If there is something special about these human ships, we will find out." As the fleet set course for the coordinates of the distress signal, Sorin couldn't shake the feeling of foreboding. The stars seemed darker here, the vast emptiness of space more oppressive. And yet, a part of him was intrigued. What had the humans created that could inspire such a warning? Meanwhile, on a distant world, deep within human space, Captain Elias Ward sat in a quiet room, his eyes fixed on the starry night outside. He knew that somewhere, out in the cold void, the Arcturians were approaching. His hand tightened around the data pad he held, the words of the message he had sent out still echoing in his mind. Beside him, Lieutenant Claire Reynolds, his second-in-command, and the person he trusted most in the galaxy, placed a hand on his shoulder. "They'll come, Elias. They won't heed the warning." "I know," he replied softly. "But they need to understand. Our ships, they're more than just machines. They're part of us. If the Arcturians challenge that, it could mean war." Claire nodded, her expression serious. "Then we make sure they understand. Together." Elias turned to her, a small, tired smile tugging at his lips. Together. Outside, the stars continued to shimmer, unaware of the conflict that was about to ignite in the darkness between them. The unseen power. The Arcturian fleet dropped out of warp space with a precision that spoke of centuries of military dominance. The void around them was still, the stars distant witnesses to the massive ships that now hovered like predators in the dark. Sorin stood at the center of the bridge, his eyes scanning the vast emptiness before them. The coordinates from the distress signal led here, to this uncharted region on the edge of human territory. Yet there was nothing. No planets, no space stations, and most importantly, no human ships. "Scanners, report," Sorin ordered, his voice calm, but with a tension that only those closest to him could detect. "Nothing on the primary sweep, Commander," Nara replied, her fingers dancing over the controls. No signs of activity. But he hesitated, her brow furrowing as she examined the data. Sorin turned his full attention to her. "But what?" "There's something strange. Anomalous readings, barely detectable. It's almost like a distortion, but it doesn't match any known phenomenon." Sorin's gaze sharpened. Could it be cloaking technology? Are the humans hiding? "Possible, but unlikely," Nara said. "Human cloaking devices, as far as we know, are rudimentary. This is different. Almost as if the space itself is warped." The commander's mind raced. If this was a trap, it was unlike any he had ever encountered. Human ingenuity was well documented, but this was beyond what he had expected. Could the humans have developed something new, something that even the Arcturians could not comprehend? "Keep scanning," Sorin ordered, "and prepare for full combat readiness. If they are here, we will find them." As the Arcturian ships fanned out, their powerful sensors probing the void, the tension on the bridge grew. Sorin could feel it, a palpable sense of unease that was spreading among his crew. The emptiness around them seemed to close in, the darkness deeper, the silence more oppressive. And then, without warning, the lights on the bridge flickered. For a brief moment, everything was plunged into darkness, a heartbeat of pure, unrelenting black. When the lights returned, a low murmur ran through the crew. "Report." Sorin barked, his voice cutting through the rising anxiety. "No damage, sir," Nara responded quickly. "But the anomaly, it's intensifying." Before Sorin could respond, the view screen at the front of the bridge shimmered, the stars outside distorting, twisting, as if the fabric of space itself was being stretched. And then, out of the void, a ship appeared. It was like nothing the Arcturians had ever seen. Sleek, with smooth lines that spoke of advanced engineering, it seemed to pulse with an inner energy. It wasn't massive, not compared to the Arcturian warships, but there was something about it, an aura of quiet power, of restrained strength. A hushed silence fell over the bridge as the human ship hovered before them, its presence both mesmerizing and terrifying. "They were warned," Claire said softly, her voice carrying the weight of inevitability. "Human ships, they're not just machines, Ilias. They're alive." Ilias nodded, his eyes fixed on the view screen. "I know. And now, the Arcturians will know too." On the Vengeance, Sorin felt a cold dread settle in his chest. This was not a trap. This was something far worse. "Open communications," he ordered, his voice low, controlled. The screen flickered again, and then the face of a human appeared. Captain Ilias Ward, his expression calm, his eyes filled with a confidence that sent a chill through Sorin's veins. "Arcturian fleet," Ilias began, his voice carrying a quiet authority. "You were warned. This is your last chance. Turn back or face the consequences." Sorin's scales bristled with anger and fear. "You dare threaten the Arcturian Empire, human. Your ship may be advanced, but it will not withstand the might of our fleet." Ilias smiled, a small, knowing smile. "It's not just a ship, Commander. It's something more. Something you can't even begin to understand." Before Sorin could respond, the human ship pulsed with a brilliant light, and the view screen went dark. The battle unfolds. A moment of silence stretched across the bridge of the Vengeance, a heartbeat of anticipation before the chaos erupted. The human ship moved, its sleek form gliding through the void with a speed and agility that defied the understanding of the Arcturian fleet. It was as if the ship was dancing, weaving between the larger warships, dodging their powerful energy blasts with an almost playful ease. "Fire at will," Sorin commanded, his voice echoing through the bridge. The Arcturian fleet responded with practiced precision, unleashing a barrage of firepower that would have annihilated any other vessel. But the human ship was not any other vessel. It seemed to anticipate their every move, evading the onslaught with an elegance that was both beautiful and terrifying. The ship's energy shields flared as it absorbed the impacts, but no real damage was done. The human vessel retaliated with its own weapons, beams of light that sliced through the void, targeting the weakest points in the Arcturian defenses. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Sorin watched in disbelief as one of his ships, the Ironclad, was struck by a single beam. The massive warship, the Ironclad, shuddered as the beam of light struck its hull. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a glancing blow, but within seconds, the ship's outer armor began to glow, the heat intensifying to unbearable levels. The metal started to warp and melt, cascading into the void in molten streams. Then, with a deafening roar, the Ironclad erupted in a blinding explosion, fragments of its once proud form scattering into the cold depths of space. Sorin's heart pounded in his chest, his scales tightening in shock. The Ironclad was one of their most powerful vessels, and it had been destroyed in an instant by a single precise attack. The human ship wasn't just advanced, it was something beyond their comprehension, a weapon unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. "Pull back. Regroup," Sorin ordered, his voice tinged with a panic he struggled to contain. But the human ship gave them no time to retreat, pressing the attack with relentless precision. It darted through the Arcturian ranks, its weapons striking with unerring accuracy. Another warship, the Thunderstrike, crumbled under the onslaught, its engines failing as it spiraled out of control before detonating in a fiery burst. The bridge of the Vengeance was a storm of activity, officers shouting reports, hands flying over controls in desperate attempts to counter the human ship's assault. But it was futile. The Arcturian fleet was being torn apart, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Amidst the chaos, Sorin's mind raced. The human ship's capabilities were beyond anything the Arcturians had encountered. It wasn't just technology, there was something more at play. A connection between the ship and its pilot, something that allowed it to react, to anticipate, to fight with a level of skill and precision that was almost supernatural. As the Vengeance itself came under attack, its shields flickering under the strain of the human ship's weapons, Sorin realized the truth. This wasn't just a battle of ships, it was a battle of minds, of wills. And the humans, with their unique bond to their vessels, had the upper hand. "Commander, we have to retreat," Nara shouted, her voice cutting through his thoughts. "We're outmatched." Sorin hesitated, his pride warring with his survival instinct. To retreat would be to admit defeat, to acknowledge that the Arcturian fleet had been bested by a single human ship. But to stay would mean certain destruction. Before he could make a decision, the viewscreen flickered once more, and the image of Captain Elias Ward reappeared, calm and composed amidst the destruction his ship had wrought. "Commander Sorin," Elias said, his voice carrying a weight of finality. "This battle is over. You've seen what we can do. You were warned, human ships are special. If you value the lives of your crew, you will leave this space and never return." Sorin's hands clenched into fists, his pride screaming at him to fight, to refuse. But the truth was undeniable. The Arcturian fleet was outmatched, outmaneuvered, and outclassed. If they continued to engage, they would be annihilated. With a bitter taste in his mouth, Sorin made the hardest decision of his career. All ships, retreat to Arcturian space. Disengage immediately. The order was met with a mix of relief and resignation. The surviving Arcturian ships began to pull back, their engines flaring as they made the jump to warp speed, leaving the human ship alone in the void. As the Vengeance prepared to follow, Sorin locked eyes with Elias on the screen. "This isn't over, human," he vowed, his voice cold and hard. "The Arcturian Empire does not forget, and we do not forgive." Elias nodded, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "Nor do we. But understand this, Commander. Our ships are more than just tools of war. They're a part of us, extensions of our will, our spirit. If you challenge that again, The consequences will be far worse than what you've seen today. The screen went dark as the Vengeance made the jump to warp, leaving the battlefield behind. The aftermath. The Arcturian fleet, now significantly diminished, limped back to their home space. The once proud ships that had been symbols of their dominance were now battered and scarred, their crews quiet and subdued. The Vengeance led the retreat, its commander deep in thought as he stared out at the empty expanse of space. Sorin paced the bridge, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The human ship had proved to be more than just a technological marvel. It was a harbinger of a new kind of warfare, one that challenged everything the Arcturians had understood about combat. The loss of the Ironclad and Thunderstrike weighed heavily on him, each destroyed ship a testament to the human ship's overwhelming power. "Commander," Nara's voice broke through his thoughts. "We've received a transmission from the High Council. They're demanding an explanation for our failure." Sorin sighed heavily. "Prepare a full report," he said, his voice taut with tension. "We need to be transparent about what happened. The Council deserves the truth, even if it's a bitter pill to swallow." Nara nodded and began drafting the report. As she worked, Sorin's mind continued to race. He knew that the High Council's reaction would be swift and severe. The defeat was a significant blow to their prestige and their strategic position. The humans had proven themselves to be a formidable force, one that the Arcturian Empire could not ignore. Meanwhile, on Terra Nova, Captain Elias Ward and Lieutenant Claire Reynolds stood on the observation deck of the Horizon's Edge, gazing out at the peaceful expanse of space. The battle had been won, but the victory came with its own set of challenges. The humans had shown their strength, but they also knew that the Arcturians would not take the defeat lightly. Elias turned to Claire, his expression thoughtful. "The Arcturians will be back," he said. "They're a proud race, and they won't take this lightly. They'll regroup, reassess, and come at us again." Claire nodded. "We should be ready. We've proven our point, but we need to stay vigilant. The galaxy is full of threats, and we've just made ourselves a bigger target." Elias agreed. "But we've also shown that humanity can stand its ground. We've sent a message that we're not to be underestimated. Our ships are more than just machines. They're a part of us, and that's something no other race can easily replicate." The tranquility of Terra Nova's landscape was a stark contrast to the tension that had unfolded in the depths of space. As the stars twinkled overhead, Elias and Claire took a moment to reflect on their shared victory and the challenges that lay ahead. Back in Arcturian space, the High Council convened in an emergency session. The chamber was filled with a tense silence as Sorin delivered his report. The holographic projections of the battle flickered above the council table, each image a stark reminder of their recent defeat. "High Councilors," Sorin began, his voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "What you see here is a record of our encounter with a human ship of unprecedented capabilities. We underestimated their technology, and as a result, we suffered significant losses." The councillors exchanged uneasy glances. "Commander," one of them spoke, his voice stern, "how did you allow this to happen? How could such an unexpected threat bypass our defenses?" Sorin met the councillor's gaze, unflinching. "The human ship's technology is advanced, and its capabilities go beyond what we anticipated. It is not merely a vessel, but an extension of the human pilot's will. This combination of advanced engineering and psychological synergy made it a formidable opponent." The councillors listened in silence, their expressions a mix of anger and concern. "And what do you propose we do next?" another councillor asked. "We must reassess our strategies and adapt," Sorin replied. "We need to understand the full extent of human technology and prepare for future encounters. Our intelligence network should be expanded to include more information on human capabilities. This defeat should serve as a lesson, not a deterrent." The councillors deliberated, their discussions filled with heated exchanges and strategic considerations. Finally, They reached a consensus. The Arcturian Empire would not retreat in the face of adversity. They would regroup, reassess, and come back stronger. As the council session concluded, Sorin felt a heavy weight lift from his shoulders. The path forward was clear. The Arcturians would learn from their defeat and prepare for the next confrontation. The defeat was a blow, but it was also an opportunity to evolve. Back on Terra Nova, Elias and Claire knew that their victory had set a new standard in the galaxy. The human ships had proven their worth, but they were not invincible. The real test would be in maintaining their edge and preparing for whatever came next. As the two stood on the observation deck, Elias reached out and took Claire's hand. "We've made our mark, but there's still much to do. We need to build on this victory and ensure that humanity's place in the galaxy is secure." Claire squeezed his hand, her eyes filled with determination. "We will. Together, we face the unknown and emerge stronger. Whatever challenges come our way, we'll face them head-on." Elias smiled, a sense of calm settling over him. "Together then. Always." As the stars continued to shine in the distance, Elias and Claire stood united, ready to face the future. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but humanity had shown that it was not to be underestimated. And as long as they had their ships and their resolve, they would navigate whatever challenges lay ahead. End.